Welcome back to Blender Shipyard. Today we're going to be working on shrouds. Everybody knows what they sort of look like, especially these deadeyes. So we're going to be working on deadeyes. We're going to be looking at how to lash them correctly. So you can see what it looks like here. This is a large, quote, late 19th century large sailing ship deadeye. You can see it's got these three holes that make it look a little bit like a skull. That's why these are called deadeyes. And you should really be careful to make sure that you include details like these rope guides. They're sort of beveled into the wood to make it more accessible for the line so it's not cutting the rope. We can also see, as I mentioned, some of these are more oval shaped, some of them are flatter. We're going to go for a sort of happy medium. So I'm going to open a brand new Blender file, and I'm just going to bring it over here. And now let's get rid of this because we don't need this. Okay, so I'm going to be now you see I already did it wrong. I dragged in my stuff at an angle. Again, here's my reference. If you look at how it is, it's kind of crazy. I'll just fix it this way. So I've told you how important it is to go into top view when we're working with this, but I'm just going to zero out the rotation here and then go into top view, and you will see we are basically in the, oh, I hit it. Let's center it here. That's great. Or maybe we'll center it on this deadeye here. And then let's figure out how big these deadeyes are. Deadeyes are pretty big. They're like, 10 inches maybe across in diameter. And so when you're building one, let's put in a 10-inch sized, let's see, we'll get a cylinder. Okay, so we want to get this to be about 10 inches in diameter. So we're going to shrink it down. I'm going to hit S. We're going to scale it down to, well, actually, it's hard for you to see here, but I'm at 0.798 inches. I'm going to switch my measurements here. I'm going to this Scene Properties tab, and I'm going to Imperial. And here we have length is set in feet. So I'm going to change this to inches, and then we can see that that dimension that I chose is actually really close to 10 inches. It's 9.58 inches, so it's almost there. But let's just type in 10. So now we know that this item is 10 inches in diameter. So now we want to size this image to fit that. Okay, now this image, this graphic comes from a book by a painter named Jack Coggins, who wrote the, I think I have it somewhere around here. It's called the Marine Painter's Guidebook. And it's a great book. I recommend it highly to anybody interested in some of this stuff, but he's explaining here where these things come from. Now I'm going to bring in some other reference here also for you guys to look at. This is from a Ship Modeler's, the Ship Modeler's Assistant. I'm just going to read that. The Ship Model Builder's Assistant. This is a great book that I recommend highly as well. It shows you, I'm going to zoom in here in a second. This shows you how these can be lashed, how this is a knot here. So it runs down here and then it runs through here and then up to here. We're going to be looking at, how we rig this shortly. But right now we've got this and we've got that, and I'm going to see if there's something else I can bring in. Here is an image, very big, of how these things were lashed. I'm going to rotate this on the Z-axis 90 degrees so you can see it this way. So what happened was these deadeyes, this is the shroud that goes up to the mast, and you can see it's double lashed here, and it crosses over at the top, and then it's bound here. That's that thickening that you often see on the ships in movies and whatever, and if you look at paintings, you'll see that it's thicker at the bottom. Also, many of these parts of the rigging were tarred because they're not moving. So they made them, they covered them with slush, anything to make them sort of waterproof. You didn't want salt water decaying the fibers of this particular line. So this was often blackened. Sometimes it was even covered in a oil-like cloth. So anyway, we're going to build these now. So Jack Coggins here, these bindings, these are iron or steel. These are for like a clipper ship, and he's actually talking about clipper ship rigging here. These things that stick out from the side of the ship that hold these away are called channels, and these are called chains, and these are called chain plates down here. So often you'll hear about things being stored in the chains of a ship. That means stuff that's tucked in under here. And it was often spare masts, spare pieces of rigging, spare pieces of spars were thrown in under here because it was a great place to store stuff. You can also see there's a wooden batten here. So where these are lashed, you can see this goes around. It's actually not lashed in the traditional way with a rope. This is lashed with a line that comes through sort of round dowel. But we're not doing that kind. That's a metal kind. That's from later in the 19th century. We're going to do an earlier one. Here, he's sort of put it here. And this is later, you used a rigging screw with the turnbuckle. Every yacht built in the 20th century and some in the late 18th used these turnbuckles. Herreshoff was a turnbuckle maniac. He designed tons of them. But from here, you can see this is a single channel shroud, lower shroud. So that's what this is going to look like. So you've seen this on many ships. Now let's try and build one. First, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply all transforms. Then I am going to go into edit, and I'm going to hit auto mirror, and we're going to auto mirror this on the Z axis so we can make it sort of the right height. And then when I tab in, you'll see I'm only working with half of it. I think that's approximately right. Before I do that, I've now changed the scale of it. So I'm going to do all transforms, tab in, and now I'm going to hit bevel. And I really feel like this is a solid shape for this object. I know that there's a channel around this object for rope, so I need to make one of those. I'm actually going to slide these vertices along this line here, so I have more room for my rope. So let's do that. I hit GG. Oh, I got to turn on my screencast keys. But what you would see there is, let me undo that so I can show you what I did. So here I've selected this around by hitting, I'm going to deselect it. I'm going to hit Alt, and then I'm going to click between the vertices. That selects the entire row, the entire circuit around the object. I should really turn on my X-ray here so you can see what's going on. Now if I hit GG, I'm going to slide these vertices along these edges. So if I move it up, if I move it down, you can see I'm moving it. So I'm going to move it to about there. I think about halfway would be fine. Now I'm going to take this circuit and I'm going to bring it in here. So let's apply the mirror modifier. And now if I come in, you can see I have this one edge running all around here. I want to bevel it so I have a place for my rope to bite. Okay, I think that's pretty solid. Now let's apply that subsurf modifier. You go to add modifier. This is the modifiers tab here with the wrench on it. Then you go to add modifier, generate, and then you come down here to subdivision surface. And if I ramp this up one more second, you can see this looks a lot like a sort of organic Deadeye. So now let's make our holes for the Deadeye to make it look like this. Now here you can see they're more evenly spaced inside. Again, here you can see they're more evenly spaced. This is Jack Coggins's sort of understanding of their shape. I'm going to move them slightly. I'm going to make them more evenly spaced inside here. So how do we do this? Again, we're going to use a Boolean. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a curved circle. Okay, I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, RY90, to make it that. Then I'm going to shrink it. Now remember, we're going to be cutting a hole, and I want to make sure I get these holes to see, to allow for the rope to cut. So how do I do that? Well, first I'm going to tab into my thing here. I'm going to move this on the y-axis. And I'm going to then, I'm going to scale these up. Let me first go to individual origins. So I have a squarer style here. Now that that is there, I can see it's too large. I'm going to scale it down again. And I'm going to place it around there. Let's go to 7 and we'll see. Okay, I'm going to move it a little bit more on the y-axis. And now, because I have a curve, I'm going to go into geometry. And I'm going to go to my bevel. So remember, when you have a mesh, when you've selected a mesh, you have these three, this little triangle of vertexes. And then if you select a curve, you get the curve signal here, the curve icon. So now, once you're here, you can see its shape, 2D, blah, blah, blah. Ignore all of this for now. Come down to geometry. Then you'll see offset, extrude, etc. Ignore those. Come down to bevel, because we're beveling the curve. So let's increase the depth of the bevel. I would say that looks to be about the right size as the whole. So first of all, let's hit Control all transforms, make sure that's the correct scale. I think that's about right for making what we want. I might reduce the bevel here. And I might move it a little bit on the y-axis, GY. So now I'm going to go into my top view. I know I need 3. I'm going to hit Shift D here. And I'm going to move this here. And then I'm going to create another one, Shift D. And let's see. Does that look about right now that we're here? I think it looks about right. All right, join these. And now I'm going to convert those former curves into meshes. Very easy to do. So now I'm going to select this Deadeye here, and I'm going to go over to my modifier panel, and I'm going to apply this because, you know, this is fine the way it is. It looks good. Now I'm going to add another one, a Boolean. Generate Boolean. So I have this object, and I'm going to select these dudes. And so it's called Bezier circle. It is no longer a Bezier circle. They're actually these hoops. So I'm going to apply this, and then we're going to move these GY. And it did work. So you can see we now have this object has these holes through it. I'm going to go into 7. And it's got the weeping area, like looks to me like it's weeping, that will allow the rope to clench it and go through. Now what we want to do is create some of the rigging here. Now this is not the rigging we're going to use. So I'm now going to move this out of the way. And then I'm going to do GY. And now we have a correct distance, at least according to the Ship Modeler's Handbook. It looks about the same as this one here. So let's do that. I'm actually going to hide this now because you can't see my screencast keys if I do that. So now I have these here. I could use them to, I could manipulate them to do this. I just want to say there are a number of things that I would not recommend doing. Oh, I need to rotate this. So remember what I said. I'm just going to do RZ 180. And now that's correct. So for the bottom one, the bottom Deadeyes, it looks like a face. For the upper Deadeyes, it does not. We'll add a Bezier curve. Okay. So let's go to 7. We're going to rotate this here. I'm going to move it here, and then we're going to start the rigging. So what do we know? Well, we know that there's a knot at one end here. And let's see, where was that? Oh, I can pull in another one. Hold on one second. I actually have a diagram of how these are rigged. So this is rigging lanyards between Deadeyes. And I'll just show you what these look like. You start with a knot at the back of one. So this is a line with a knot in it. It goes through the front. It goes down through the front hole there, and then it comes up. It comes to the center hole. That center hole goes down to the center hole. Then it goes up to this one and down through here and comes through the front, out the back, and then is lashed up here. So there's a lot of line here, and we're going to try and make it as painless as possible. But this is not going to be the easiest part of this. So I'm going to actually hide this too, and we'll just keep this off to the side for reference. So I'm going to rotate this on the y-axis, RY90, so we don't have any play here. We know, actually, let's rotate it even the other way, RY180, so we can start at the right point. So now, let's put this here. We'll move this here to the back of one of these Deadeyes, right? And we can even rotate this so that it's square, and we can move it. And we're going to shrink that a little bit. Oh, well, we can make it larger for now because it'll run all the way through. Now we'll bring this point, we'll make that much smaller, and we'll move it over here. And now you can see that line is now moving through the thing. Now we're going to put a knot around here later. Don't worry about that knot. And now we're going to just, let me go to 1, we'll go to 3. So we're just going to roughly get these into place, right? So I'm going to have this here. Let me make this a little bit smaller. That way we're going to be blending. Okay. Now I'm going to hit E to extrude. I'm going to rotate this. Let's see where we are. Okay, so we're near that hole. And now I'm going to extrude again. And I'm going to rotate that. I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to move it on the Z-axis. And now we have our first bit of line. Now, if I look here, I can see that this is wonky. See how it's not aligned? So I'm just going to do it by eye. So now I'm going to extrude again. I'm going to rotate. I'm going to scale up a little bit. I'm going to move this here. I'm going to rotate again. I'll put it around here. Now we're going to have to redo this as we work, because when we put a radius on this line, you'll see on this curve, you'll see that it won't match up the holes exactly. We'll have to do some other editing. So now I know I'm going up to the top hole, so I can hit and I can rotate here and move this here. And we're not going to worry about where this is on the x-axis. We're only moving on the y-axis and the z-axis now. I'm going to hit E, and now I go through the center, right? Then I'm going to hit E again. I'm going to rotate 90 degrees. I'm going to bring this here, and don't worry, that won't be visible when we actually do this. And then I know I'm going approximately here again, so I'm going to hit R. No, I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to hit E, and I'm going to rotate 180 degrees, and I'm going to bring this through here, thing, and then I'm going to hit E again, come through that hole, and I'm probably in the wrong place here. I should be over here, but I did it in the wrong place, so you'll have to forgive me. And then I'm going to come up, and I'm actually going to go straight past here to here, and we'll figure out how that is rigged afterward. So now let's see what kind of a mess we have. Oh, it's all on the same line. Oh, it can't work. What a terrible thing. But we can edit it. That's the whole beauty of these things. So let's figure out. Here are our, these are the two vertices that should be over here. We're going to go to 7. I'm going to move them here. And actually, you can see they're not aligned. That's crazy. So let's rotate one so it comes straight out. And we'll rotate this one so it comes straight out. Now, I can see here that there's something wrong. Oh, that's this. That is this one. So let's move this. We'll move this. Okay, and I'm going to go GY. And now that rope is going through there. I'm going to go GY here too. Okay, great. So we've got that one lined up. Then we know that these furthest points are meant to go through that this hole here. And yeah, is this crazy? It is totally crazy. There are other ways to do this. If you're just interested in a general simulation, make those circles, elongate them, play with the control handles until they look correct, and then you'll be all set. Let me just do this. I'm going to put this in. By the way, just so you know what I did there so I can see everything, I went from shaded, viewport shaded, material preview rather, to the solid view. When you're in X-ray with solid view, it allows you to see through the mesh. Again, extremely handy. So this is looking pretty good, actually. I know it looks like a mess to you, but I know it's pretty good. I'm going to go to 7. I'm going to move these dudes here. I'm going to straighten them out. I'm going to make them smaller. Same thing. Now, I could have been careful and straightened these out before I did this work, but I was lazy and I was rushing to show you some cool stuff. So I'm going to shrink this down. I'm going to shrink this down. I'm going to rotate it so it's correct. Where, which one is that? Oh, that. So I now know that I can dissolve this. Okay. So I know that I can move these guys. GY, I'm just going to move them on the y-axis so they basically go through there. I can see this one is rotated this way. This one is rotated this way. And it's maybe too much, too big. And these are both too big. I can see because I can see the line is burning through this area. So we're going to shrink those down even more. Okay. So this is in the right place. This is in the right place. And now I need these guys to go over here. Now, I just want to say, I have a special setup that I use sometimes, and if I hit Control Q, you'll see I get my quad view. I often work in this view because it's really easy once you zoom in. I know this is top view, I know this is a side view, this is perspective view, and here's another side view. This is very handy for me, but it's too much for a video, so I'm not working with that. We'll make this work. We'll clean this up. So I'm going to rotate that, and then I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to give it less height. So I've now actually rigged this correctly, and that's the goal of of this whole process. I'm trying to make things as accurate as possible. So now when I bevel this curve with this, you can see, oh, is it great? I don't know if it's great. Let's see. These ropes look a little chunky to me, but we'll fix that right now. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to increase the bevel and I'm going to move it on the y-axis. And there you'll see, I'm going to make it even larger. You see how that looks good now? That looks like what this should be. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to scale these up and I'm going to move them on the z-axis, on the y-axis rather. So here I'm going to do the same thing to these guys, S, and then GY. And maybe this one needs to go a little bit further, GY. And now it looks like these lines are taut inside these channels, right? So, and because we did it the way we did it with these holes here, this still looks pretty good. Okay. So now let's do, I'm gonna do these two individually because I'm gonna move this one GY. And you can see what I'm doing here. You know, I'm just making it look like these are actually threaded through the Deadeye. Okay, let me... When I first started modeling, I would often try and do this with, a cylinder and bend it around the thing. That That's just such a ridiculous way to do it. I don't recommend it. So right now, so we can begin to see some progress here, I'm going to put on some materials. So let's pick a material for this. We're going to do some wood here. So I'm going to hit new. I'm going to, oh wait, let me open up here. I am going to change this to a shader editor. I'm going to do object. Here we have no material. I'm going to click this because I have my node wrangler set up. I can do that. We're going to go to this old wood. I think I used that continually. I like it. It's got a nice bumpiness to it, and you can reduce the bumpiness. Yeah, that looks pretty good for a thing. Now we should probably unwrap this. I want to bring back that. I want to bring back this Deadeye that we were looking at here. Hold on one second. You can see here, all of the wood grain is going up and down. If we click on it, it's all running this way. And these are lignum vitae, which is living wood. I think it's some kind of oak thing. Anyway, we are going to just unwrap this thing using UV editing. Oh, look at that. That's kind of nice. But let's tab in. We'll select all. We're going to do UV, Smart UV Project. Let's see what it does. I think that's pretty good. Oh, you know, this is something, again, I've told you guys, Blender does this where it, you know, you're in the mode where you're looking at UV editing and it does it. So I'm going to tab in again and I'm going to hit all. I'm going to do R90. And now we have all of our wood grain pointed in the right direction. I think that looks pretty good. Now, instead of now doing the same thing with the other one, let me just go up here. I'm going to go into top view. I'm going to delete this one. And I'm going to Shift D, GY to here. I don't know. And then we'll rotate it R180 and make sure it's in the right spot. Let's see. Nope. So we're going to move it GY. Okay. And now it looks like the rope is going through the holes. It's looking good. I see here I'm going to have to move this to GY. And how much does that alter that? Maybe too much. GY. Okay. So now one of the good things about these bevel setups is that when you apply material to them, they form pretty easily. So I'm going to do the same thing I did. I went over here, I created a new material. I'm going to call this rope. I should have called the other one wood, but we'll deal with that in a second. Control Shift T if you have Control Shift T if you have Node Wrangler, it pulls this up. We're going to pick a rope. I probably have a rope or a line here. I can't remember what I called it. Rope. Hey, look at that. Let's see. That's a normal albedo. I don't know. We'll do the JPEG. It's probably lower thing. So, oh well, this is not good. So you can see it's all stretched out. So let's do the UV unwrapping of this. So we'll go into UV editing. We're gonna. I'm actually gonna convert this to a mesh now. Okay, great. And now we're going to go to UV editing again, and I'm going to hit A, and you'll see that it's made equal divisions here mostly. I don't know if that's going to work, so let's go in here, and I'm going to go UV. Let's do unwrap. We'll just see what it did. Okay, well, whatever it did, it wasn't good. So that's not going to work. So let's do cube projection. Let's see how that did. Obviously, it's way too small. So we're going to hit A, R90, and then we're going to scale it up so that it looks more like rope. Because this isn't the final texture, I'm not driving myself mad, but that's looking better. I don't like it though, so let's do this. So this is a line that runs through the entire thing because this is one piece. Doing it one piece is very handy because you want to do, you know, a UV unwrap. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to do mark seam. Now there's a seam here. So if I now hit unwrap, let's see what happens. Oh, I have to do the whole thing. There we go. So here, and you can see this is correct. So because you can see in here, see how it gets dense here? That's where these curves are. So let's scale this up so that it actually begins to look like the rope. And we should get what we want. Okay. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for government work. Okay. We'll scale it up a little bit more. There we go. That's looking better. And if we go into rendered mode, you'll see it looks a lot. Oh, the normal's flipped, so it looks weird. But basically, we've got a good setup here, and this texture isn't the best. Again, I recommend you go to Polygon, Poliigon. They have the best materials you can put on your model. So this looks pretty good. I want to put a knot here now. So where do I get a knot? Well, there's a great thing called Curve Extras, and it's in your preferences. And Curve Tools, Curve Extra Objects is what it is. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go Add Curve, and let's go Knots. And I'm going to do, let's see, I'll just do a torus knot. Now you can see this torus knot is huge and it's got a lot of things, and this is going to be a relatively small thing. So let's reduce the resolution. We don't need 100 of these, especially with the size we want. We're going to reduce the major radius. We're going to reduce the minor radius, and then let's get in here. Let's see what it looks like. Let's see if we can reduce the number of spins. Great. I'm going to reduce the number of the curve resolution again because we really don't need that much. Segment resolution. I think that looks like a good knot. Let's shrink it down. All right. So I'm going to go GZ, and let's move it here. We're going to shrink it a little bit more. And as you can see, I want it to be about the same size as the same width as the line here. GX. And now we're going to put it here. GY. And I'm just freehanding this. Who knows? And let's go into tab and we'll go A, and we'll just, nope. I need to go. So let me explain something about this. So I am in individual origins here, and I just hit scale, and you can see that these are they're becoming less curvy because I'm reducing the angle at which they turn the corner. So I'm going to go back into median point here, which is where Blender usually starts. I'm going to hit get small. I'm going to hit scale, get smaller. And now it's not making those smaller. It's just making them, it's making the whole model smaller. So I'm going to hit Control A to hit all transforms. And then let's just apply our rope material. And that looks pretty good to me. I don't need it to be much better than that. So we are now basically done with the Deadeyes and their rigging here. Okay, so let's stop there. In the next tutorial, we're going to do the rigging around. Let me just get in here to show you. We're going to be doing the line around here that lashes to the chains and also to the shrouds. We're going to do this double paid line here. We're going to do this. And then we'll also build the chain so you can have a model that you can just put on a ship. Anyway, thank you very much, and we'll see you tomorrow.